Great, thanks. Okay, so Kate and I just want to show a couple of ideas of other things that we do in the classroom with the younger learners. And then I think the second half of the session, or whatever's left of the session, we'll hand over to some of the other teachers so that they can share some of their ideas, because of course everyone's been experimenting and finding things out and finding things that work for them. And I think it is very important to keep sharing those ideas so that we can all stay sane through this period. So I want to show just, first of all, a website that I came across, which I've added to Padlet, and it's education.com. I haven't fully explored the website, but they've got a lot of great games. You need to have, I think, Flash or something like that on your computer.
The bridges are out, and everyone needs to get to school. Fix the bridge by creating words.
So it's a bit of a metaphor.
First, click on a letter, then move it to the box where it belongs. Make the word pen.
It's a bit of a metaphor, really. The bridges are down and we all need to get to school. So the bridges in this scenario, of course, the virus, and I think we're all dying to get back to
Make the word
school.
pen.
So you can see what happens here.
Pen.
So picking up the kids on the way to school. We'll stop it there, I think.
Make the word log.
Okay, so that's just one example of games that are available there for younger learners, and I wouldn't necessarily use them in class, but they are good for extra homework. I would sit down at the beginning of a unit, so look through the unit, look at the language points, the vocabulary that we're going to be covering, and then just give a quick search in the website for games which are relevant to those language points. And I can give them as extra homework. I can then check them in class. And the kids are given a score. So they're actually marked for you in a sense. There's no real marking with these games. And it's just something extra that you can give them for homework along with something from the activity book. It's good that, I mean, I think all the kids are online anyway. Any kids that are in your classroom are online. So the parents do have the ability to go to these websites and help their kids through it. The kids will then start to explore the website themselves. So it's something that they enjoy doing. And anything that they do from that website is just a bit of extra language practice for them. So you might find that the kids look for their own games and they come back to class and they tell you about, or they tell each other about a game that they've played that they enjoyed. I've put that onto Padlet. And I think one of the sort of downsides of these things is that teachers feel like it's a lot of searching, it's a lot of trolling the internet to try and find appropriate games and activities. But once you've found a website like that, it's very simple, as I said, just to go in and search for something which is relevant to the unit. And you, of course, you copy the link into the homework on Moodle. Okay, another thing that I've been using are YouTube videos, which I will show you here. This is Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig saved my life, basically, when I first started teaching very young learners. The context is absolutely clear to the kids, and the language is very clear. Their accents are very clear. The kids can figure out what's going on, and then what I'll do is I'll build it up to a role play so that the kids are actually using the language in the episode. I'll just show you a short clip.
In his newspaper.
What are you doing?
I'm reading the newspaper.
Simple as that.
You're making a funny sound.
I'm whistling.
Okay, so very, very short clip. I'm not going to show them the whole episode necessarily. A very short clip where the context is absolutely clear. You can even see from the look on Peppa's face, she doesn't know what's going on. which makes the meaning of the question, what are you doing, absolutely clear. And then two very obvious instances of present continuous, which I think we're doing, or at least I'm doing right now with Kids Box 1 in Unit 10. Yes, it's Unit 10. So I would then, once I've made sure the meaning is clear, I just drill it. I can just drill it with the kids. And I'll ask you to do that with me now, if you don't mind. So we're going to listen and say, or listen and repeat.
His news.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Everyone.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Ready, what are you doing? It's quite difficult. It can be quite difficult to pause it in between.
I'm reading the newspaper.
Everyone.
I'm
I'm
reading
reading
the
the
newspaper.
newspaper.
You're making a funny sound.
You're
You're
making a funny sound.
That's obviously quite a difficult piece of language, but I think, you know, through time and a bit of explanation, they will understand it.
I'm whistling.
I'm reading.
The next stage would then be to give roles. So I might split the students into two, A's and B's, and A's will be Peppa Pig and B's will be Daddy. I can switch them round then so that they've all had practice doing the entire dialogue. And then I might ask, and of course you've drilled it with them 3 times by then. I might then ask 2 students to be at the front of the class, as it were. If I have to mute all the other students, I will. And then 2 students can act out the dialogue between each other. Then I can stick them into breakout rooms and they can do the role play. That particular episode also has a lot of instances of, can you do this? Yes, I can, or no, I can't. So it's quite useful for the recent units. And that particular episode is called Whistling. The episode itself, I can also set it for homework. Because once I've dealt with little pieces of the episode, and I know that the kids know what those little pieces mean, then they're quite happy to watch the whole episode. And it gives them extra listening practice to authentic English. They start to figure out the bits in between, the pieces that I've worked with. They can figure out the pieces in between. So again, it's encouraging learner autonomy. Does take a little bit of practice to pause in between, but I think the kids enjoy it, and it takes away from the teacher a little bit as well. So they're not just listening to you and your English all the time. It gives them another source of input. Another thing that I find difficult with, or can find difficult with kids, is exactly that, dialogues. You don't really want to speak to them like parents speak to their babies. You ask a young child a question and you kind of have to answer it for them so that they can see both sides of the dialogue. So parents will do things like, do you like oranges? Yes, you like oranges. You know, with kids, it's quite difficult. If you ask them a question and they don't know the answer, then how do you teach them the answer? So, this is James, and I know that like puppets can be quite embarrassing for the teacher to use, puppets and toys, especially in a training session like this with a bunch of adults. But they are extremely useful for showing dialogue, because they can see now both sides of the dialogue in a much more natural setting. So I can teach, again, a dialogue. I have to do this actually in front of a bunch of adults. So, hello, what's your name? My name's James. Hello, James. What's your name? My name's David. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. There we go. Fantastic. So they've actually seen both sides of the dialogue, and that helps them to understand how question and response works. Rather than me having to teach them the answer, then teach them the question, then teach them how to do that, I've managed to do it with my second teacher. And I watched an excellent lesson. I think it was Mimi. Is Mimi here today? Mimi is not here today. I watched Mimi use puppets to great effect in her Kids Box 1 class. So I think she's probably better at it than I am. So I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you have any questions about how to fully effectively use puppets. You might quickly give her
Do you change your voice when you answer, or have you got the answers recorded beforehand?
That's an excellent idea. If you could record them and time it, it would be fantastic. I'm not great with voices.
No, neither am I. That's why I'm asking. Sounds
but
like
I
a good
think
idea, though.
It's more about the movement. So
yeah,
they can see when I'm speaking, just wiggle my head, and then they can see when James is speaking.
Yes.
And kids will look at one or the other. So even if you don't have to be a great ventriloquist, you can still move your mouth when James is talking. But if he's moving, they'll be looking at James. So and kids love that. They love the theatre of it all, and they love meeting new people. Yeah, obviously with slightly older kids, I mean, if you have a kids box 2 class and they're a bit older, they might be as old as 8. You might even have 9-year-olds in the class. They might find this a bit babyish. I don't know. You just have to know your class and know how they'll respond to it. But certainly with my kids box 1 class, I've got kids as old as 8 who respond well to this even. And they show you their own teddies, and that's another thing, that they can actually bring their own teddies in to the dialogues, and in the breakout rooms they can pretend to be somebody else. It helps the shy kids start speaking, because it's not them that's speaking, it's James. So I think I've had 12 minutes, but there we go. I'll just recap, so that if you can find good websites like that, do add them to Padlet. Once you've found a good one, it doesn't take up that much time to find good extra activities for the kids to do at home. YouTube videos, even just very short pieces like I've used there, are great for presenting dialogue and drilling, and providing other sources of input than your own voice. And if you are struggling to kind of present dialogue, bring in a helper. So those are my 3 ideas for today. Kate, over to you.
Okay, thank you, David. Yeah, you can make me a host. Maybe I will. So one of the myths is that we cannot do as many or as varied kinesthetic activities with kids in the Zoom room, which is not true, of course. So I'm going to show you how I do kinesthetic activities. Of course, for this, they have to switch on their cameras. Okay, maybe some of you, I see that some of you have switched on their cameras, so we can actually work with it. But it's a good thing, yes, if we have more people. Okay, one of the things I do is my favorite freeze frames. You've heard about it a lot, but how do I do it in the virtual environment? Okay, so I create breakout rooms. You can create as many as you want, but let's say 5. And then I choose 2 people, okay, and I just send them. I'm going to send these 2 people to the breakout rooms, only them. Okay. The reason I create more breakout rooms is because when the next pair has to be sent to a breakout room, you just delete the one before and you send it to another room. Because otherwise you will send people to different rooms. The idea is just send 2 people to one breakout room. All the rest remains. Okay, so we choose an activity. Maybe Fanny can suggest an activity for young learners that we have to mime. Okay.
Today I'm planning to mime the different actions for present continuous, like for example, driving.
Okay, one thing. Okay, choose one thing, Fanny.
Okay, driving.
Okay, driving. So you have to mime, and when I say 3, you have to freeze. Okay. So right. Start. 1, 2, 3, freeze.
Okay, it's a funny one.
And we're waiting for our people to come back. Usually you leave like 10 seconds so that they come back. Okay, so you have to tell us, what are we doing? But make a full sentence, please. What are we doing?
You're driving a car.
Yes. Right.
Right.
Okay, yes, you drive. So you can extract different language. You can make them ask questions, or you can make them say a sentence. For what language can you use this activity? Miming actions, this is the easiest. What other things?
Adjectives, maybe.
Adjectives, yes, sad, happy.
Yeah.
Or with a bit older kids, you can easily extend this. So they have to guess the feeling, but also why. I'm angry because, okay, yes, because something broke. But this is for older kids. It's good for adverbs. Yeah?
Could even be places.
Yes.
Prepositions.
Prepositions,
They can
yes.
demonstrate on the next year.
Yes.
Like,
Animals, with very young kids, they can mime an animal. Yes, crocodile or elephant. And also it can be used with past tense. For example, for all the kids, you can ask them, what did they do yesterday? They can say, oh, they, for example, went shopping or something. So different activities can be mimed. Another activity, but this time it's done in teams, and it's good for drilling structures. Okay, because you're a lot of, so team 1 will be people whose name starts with A to L. Okay, A to L will be team 1, and M to Z will be team 2. Okay, now team 1, everybody in team 1, but we're going to do it with just a few people. They have to think of a food they are eating, mime the action, and say the sentence. I'm going to start. For example, I'm eating an apple. Okay, then, for example, Fanny, okay, I see your camera.
Okay.
Mime
I have to show you.
Yes, but no, you have to say a sentence. I'm eating.
Oh, I'm eating an apple. Okay.
No, something else. Not
I'm
an apple.
eating a banana.
Okay. Show it. Okay. And then David, okay.
I'm eating sushi.
Okay. Okay, you can make them do this twice, depending how big the group is. If it's just 3 people, of course, it's just once. Okay, and then the next team has to remember and tell us and say, for example, from the next team, let's have Lindsay. Can you remember some of the actions, Lindsay? Who is it?
Yes.
What? Okay.
Yes. Somebody is eating a banana, or eating sushi and eating a banana.
Okay, this was easy because we are 3 people, but you can make it more challenging. You can say who. For example, who is eating a banana?
Good question. David is eating sushi.
Yeah, David is eating sushi. Okay.
And Fidanka is eating a banana.
Yes. Okay. So you can actually make them guess. And then the next team, they have to mime their actions. The idea is that each child will mime a different, for example, in this case, it's food. So each child mimes different food. Or if it's action or sport, different sport, but they say the sentence. So it's like a drilling the structure. I'm playing or I'm eating. You can do it with what? What other things you can do it? I'm riding a camel, I'm riding an elephant, I'm riding a goat.
Yeah. Maybe with clothes, you can be putting on clothes.
clothes.
Yes.
Yes.
Or the past simple.
Yeah, I was
practicing,
about to say,
yeah.
this is a great way to convert it or give them good practice with the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're remembering what happened before. So
Yeah.
Yes.
with older levels, they get good practice.
And it's natural. Yesterday
Yeah,
or just
yeah.
5 minutes ago, he did this or that.
Yeah, great, yeah.
Well, yeah, the idea of the action accompanying the words is because it makes it easier for kids to remember, because they either remember the words or the action or both of them. And for younger kids, it's important, all this type of going through the motions. Okay, so these were my 2 kinesthetic activities. Yes, David?
No, go on.
Okay.
I just remembered I have another activity, but I forgot to show it. But you carry on. I can show it later.
No, you can show it. Okay.
It's actually for it kind of ties in with what we were talking about on Friday. It's a way of dealing with correction as a whole class rather than targeting, you know, individual students, which I think at this age it can be quite difficult for them to take correction. You know that some of your kids get a lot of help from their parents and they make zero mistakes, and some kids do make mistakes, and then I feel like I'm picking on them. So I'll often deal with mistakes by either predicting what mistakes they're going to make, or by making a note of all the mistakes that they've made in one lesson and then dealing with them a following lesson. So this is simply a way of having them notice what's correct and what's not, and having them make choices as a whole class as to what is correct and what is not. And then I would remove, once they've identified the correct sentence, I would remove these incorrect sentences. This is, I come from is Bulgaria is something that they say all the time. So these are real mistakes that they make. I am got brown hair is another common one. Confusing structures. And then certain spelling mistakes. A w sound is often replaced with a l sound. So this is something I get quite a lot as well. And once I've removed all these, I'll have them copy out the correct sentences into their notebooks. It actually makes up a full text as well. So they're creating a full text in their notebooks. And I know that what they're copying down is correct. So it's just making them think about mistakes and then copying down what is correct. So it's just forming good sort of self-correction habits and giving them further practice. Now they are only they are only going to write this down each sentence once, but I think because it creates a full text, it's kind of like a mini project, and they feel really proud of it. For homework they might draw a picture to go with it. So it becomes a full project, and hopefully because of the memory of that project and how much work they put into it, they're more likely to remember what is correct and what is not. Obviously there's a bit of work trying to encourage your Kids Box 1 kids not to write down "my name is David." You have to realize that this has to be substituted, as does this.
Yeah, but this can be done with Kids Box 2.
Yeah.
Because they've got this sort of activities in which they have to write about themselves.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's just a way of kind of dealing with correction as a whole class rather than, you know, picking on any one student at any time. And they're all going to do it. They're all going to write down the correct text. Okay, so just simple as that.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to add something?
No, I was just going to say, should we ask now if they have any questions about anything we've done so far, or should we just go and see what ideas they have? Okay. Any questions? No.
Okay, so yeah, I've created the rooms while you were talking. So we are going to send you into breakout rooms. The idea is to share in your group the activities, some interesting activities, either with vocabulary, grammar, spelling, whatever you find effective, something you've done in class and something that was successful in your practice, to share it, and then decide and present, okay, one activity. I think we won't have time for more activities to the others. And by doing it, also try to reflect on the things that people are sharing, so how you can apply it in your classroom situations. Okay? Ready?
Okay.
Like I'm sending you. Recording. Okay, welcome back. A lot of ideas. Do you need me to share the Padlet again in the chat? I don't know if everybody has it.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so everybody who's got the link can just write or drag and drop or just share the link there. And David is sharing.
It's the file from last lesson. I think I uploaded it to Moodle as well, but perhaps I forgot, so I will do that now. but here it is in the chat for you.
Okay, thank
ideas.
you.
Okay, let's see some interesting ideas, maybe from group 1 or breakout room 1. Who wants to share something?
Was it us actually, Christian?
No.
No, it is David, Bini, Desi, Katerina, and Zlatina. Okay, I think Zlatina has some sites. Okay, she's using other people.
Yes, most of them I found in the British Council site.
Okay.
Games for pressing different puppets and so on and so forth. And each vocabulary, for example, I used. It's quite interesting things. I'm going to share because I have the sites bookmarked. I don't remember them. I'm going to share them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, share
We'll
them.
select.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe somebody who, what about practicing grammar? Does anyone have some interesting activities? Because we cannot really say that we teach grammar, just structures and drilling or activities that help with grammar.
I can show a game we use.
Okay. Eva, are you going to share a screen or?
I did
not. Did you send the file? Is that your file?
That was me. That was my
file.
No, David's file.
Okay, I'm not sharing now.
We're sharing.
You're not sharing.
Eva's about to share something.
I did not understand that you're waiting for me. I'm sorry. I can share it yet.
Yeah, we were waiting. Yeah. And is this something with grammar you do or vocabulary?
This is a game. As you can see, it is good for present continuous. They enjoy it. I use it as warm up. I use it at the end of.
Yeah. Okay.
You can help me now.
Pointing.
Mark's calling.
He's pointing at the clock. Okay.
He is pointing at the clock.
You can hear the sentence when it's ready.
Okay. Actually, the teacher is moving. They tell you the sentence. Okay.
The teacher has to put the.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell
Good.
the teacher.
They are playing tennis.
And there are many topics. This is actually the address I shared on Padlet. There are different kinds of games, and this type of game, putting the clouds and the sentences in the correct order, are in many different topics. Sorry about the noise from my computer. So this is really a good one. I use a lot.
Okay, good.
I'm going to stop sharing now.
Yeah, you can stop sharing now. Okay. Well, any other ideas? Don't be shy. We don't have so much time, so I just invite somebody.
A simple idea from me, using the chat only for writing, because we can't be sure that young learners, especially when they're at home, they copy the correct words or write the correct words. So the chat might be used efficiently in this case, and you can write them if you, the new vocabulary, for example, at the end of the session to write the students. You can assign, for example, writing school for one child, the other child a different word. If you're, for example, studying a text with past simple, especially with the kids, let's say higher level kids, you can ask them to write a full sentence. For example, what did you do yesterday? And they have to write in the chat using past simple. And it can be used with any tense. So very simple but very effective. So the teacher can follow the sentences. Afterwards, there might be a correction using the whiteboard. And this is from me, simple.
Yeah, dictations as well.
Dictation, yes, Moni. Dictation also might be.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when only the host can see the answer, so that they don't copy from each other. Yeah.
Yes, okay, this is very, very useful remark, yeah.
And also you can send them be reporters for find out whoever is in class and ask what's your favorite, whatever we're doing today. They go, they find somebody and then come back report. So my granny's favorite food is banitsa or whatever. But they have a task, they go do something, come back and report. And it's kind of movement once again. Yeah. Then.
Yeah. Yesterday we went to a very nice webinar. It was organized by Oxford Learning Bulgaria, and they gave a few good ideas. One of the ideas was using the chat for games. You divide the class into teams, but for example, you give them numbers, like in Zoom, these people are number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. For example, you have 4 teams. And then you say, write a verb in the past, if you want to practice past tense, and the team who's got 3 verbs in the past first gets a point. They have to write only 1 word. They write went, and you look at the chat and you see, for example, the ones are the first to have 3 verbs, or you can give them any vocabulary. Food, write a food, 1 food only, and the team who's got 3 types of food first gets a point. But again, it is a kind of dictation, but with an element of a game.
You mean competition?
Yeah.
Yes, like a competition. This is not my idea. This is the idea of Sean Loudon. And another one is escape rooms, using the breakout rooms as escape rooms. So you give them a task in the breakout room, and they cannot leave the breakout room until they complete it. So the first people who complete the task, but you have to give them a task that they have to. For example, it can be something simple. Find 3 things in common with the people in your group, and using, for example, certain structure. I have a brother, I have a dog, I have a bike, for example, and they can write it down. And then when they find these 3 things in common, they can come back. And the first team to come back, they are like it has this competitive element. But if you don't want to be a competition, you can just say, okay, you can leave the room when you finish the task.
Great ideas, Katie.
Yes, great.
No, this was for this webinar, and it's very nice. And if they have a recording, please go and watch it, because they had a lot of good ideas.
I think the competitive element in the chat is good. I mean, it forces them to try and find the letters on the keyboard as quickly as possible, and they want to get better at that. They want to be the first ones to finish. At first, in some cases, it might be demotivating for those kids who aren't good at typing, when there are some kids in the class who are always first. But I think sometimes if you just do the competition element, sometimes it does encourage the kids to get better at finding the letters. And I think that's very important. At the moment, we're not just teaching English, we are teaching like digital skills.
Yes.
Exactly as I said before, it's exactly what they're going to need when they grow up. Pen and paper will be a thing of the past by the time they're old enough to go to work.
I can share something with you.
Okay.
This is what I prepared for Kids Box 2 today. And this is a way of revising I've got, and the difference he's got. And I've got these numbers here. Of course, I've got to zoom it out and make it a little bit bigger. But the idea is for the kids to write here V, here S, and then we are going to use this table to drill the forms. I've only chosen the ones that are the most important ones. I mean, the ones that they are going to be using to speak in their speaking activities in class. So I've got, and they have to write VE in the chat. we've got, and then they've got he's got, and they've got to write S for she's got, and then the question form, have you got, but here is has he got. So this is a kind of activity for revision, revising the forms that we focused in the lesson last time. Hope it will work. We'll see.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
That can be done in columns, actually, if your kids are tech savvy enough.
So you mean in a table?
Well, if you have exactly what you've got there, but you lay it out again in the middle of the page and then lay it out again on the right-hand side of the page, you would have to update your document to have columns, I think. But I can show you on my
okay, I can think about that. This is just
the kids can use the annotate function. If your kids can use it, then
yes, yeah, they can use
you
the
can lay
annotate
out
function as well.
the same bunch of sentences over and over again, and then put them into teams so that
yeah, this can be done as a team game too. But the idea was for me to drill them and reinforce them so that they will be using them with greater accuracy in the activities that are going to come in the lesson today. Okay.
Okay. Okay, questions or other ideas?
What about this Padlet, Kate? What's the Padlet for here?
Well, Padlet this is a collaborative tool where you can add your ideas, and if you have the link, you can open it and you can see the ideas of other people.
Okay.
Just don't forget when you write your idea, just to write your name under in one of the boxes so that we know who suggested it. It's a good way to acknowledge your efforts and your work.
Okay.
Here it is.
Yeah. Okay. David is
so basically, any websites that you have that you use in class that you think would be useful for other teachers, you can just drag and drop them in here from your bookmarks list if you have one on the left, or you can just double click on the page somewhere and you can add a link to a website, or even just a photograph or anything that you want. You can put it on this page and all the teachers can draw from it. So I mean, recently I added that website I showed you earlier on today with the grammar and vocabulary games, and other teachers have added really useful web pages. They're mostly Kate.
But you can add as many as you want, and it always shows at the top. So the new window always opens at the top. You can even add a Word document or a PDF, and people will be able to download it from there. It's very useful, and this can be used with older kids. Have you used Padlet with older kids for any activities?
No.
No, but that can be used for projects even.
Yeah, so for example, I've used it with kids who are 4th grade, and I asked them to write 3 types of healthy food, and just share the link. You know that now the links are clickable, because after the last update of Zoom, the links became clickable. So if you share it with kids, and they can write, and even they can put photos from these photos are from Google provided, so they can just use the photos from Google in their Padlet.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Regarding the idea with the video that David shared last week, what did you use to share the videos? How did the kids send you the videos?
Okay, I can show you if you just give me a moment. I'll try and find one.
Maybe this is just like an assignment, but that's the way I ask my CAE students to send me their speaking tasks.
Yes, but with CAE students it's easy. They're
yeah, but the thing is the same. I mean, you have to create an assignment, I think.
Well, maybe David
So-
has a better idea. That's why I'm.
Well, this is an email that I sent to myself with that video of me doing the can and can't. So I took the video, I sent it from my phone to my computer, and I can just click on it from here, and it will open in whatever I have automatically, whatever my default media player is, it will just open. Okay, well, maybe not, but
So you just used emails. That's my question. Or you use the platform.
well, I mean, I would download the videos and move them from downloads into a suitable folder. So I might have a different folder for each class.
Okay, but you asked them to send it via email.
Yeah, I asked them to send it via
Okay,
email.
that
Yeah,
was my question. Okay.
from work email.
Okay, yeah. There is
Sorry,
this
sorry.
site. Yeah. There is this site, but the problem with this site, and maybe it can be used with adults or teens, is that the people, it's called Flipgrid.com. So it's very easy to make videos inside, so they don't need to make a video with something else. But the problem is that they should have a Google account or a Microsoft account. So maybe for adults, it's okay because, okay, probably I can show you what a flip. They make videos with this. Okay, maybe I can share the screen. Let's see. Here is the Flipgrid. And it used to be paid, and now it's free for educators. This is the Flipgrid. And they don't need to upload the video because they make the video in the site, and the site records the video, and actually it retains the video inside. You have to create something called a grid. It's like a page. And this is what happens. Okay, you have this grid, and these are the kids who made their own videos. So if you have a class of teenagers or maybe adults and they use the Google account or they use the Microsoft account, they can do this, and you can do this using this platform. But with younger kids, it would probably be difficult because this means that the parents should use their own accounts as well.
Yeah.
So again, they have to be involved some way.
So they just make the videos just as, I could use the camera like this. I can make a video like this. But as long as I'm on the Flipgrid
We
side.
have some problems with parents when recording their children. I know.
Well, I imagine the Flipgrid website has all the protocols and the safety features to ensure that these videos don't go anywhere.
Yes, they get
Can't
something
imagine
like a
that. Yeah.
password. They have a code, and only if you have the code, you can enter.
Katie, may I? Sorry for interrupting.
Yes,
There's
we have to
another
stop.
meeting. There's another meeting.
Yeah, of
afterwards.
course.
They are in the same room for the exam preparation courses. So I guess we need to stop at this point and stop recording, please.
Ah, sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Katie and
Thank you
David.
very much.
Thank you.